Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhamad Zulkarnain. So today I will present for assignment 3B. The topic is about Chernobyl disaster. So for introduction, the Chernobyl nuclear power plant tragedy in Ukraine in April 1986 was caused by a defective Soviet reactor design combined with severe blunder made by the plant operator. The Chernobyl 4 reactor was damaged by catastrophe which killed 30 operators and firefighters within 3 months and resulted in several more deaths. One person was killed on the spot while another died in the hospital shortly after because of their injuries. Another person is said to have died of coronary thrombosis at the time. Acute radiation syndrome (ARS) was first identified in 237 people who worked on the clean-up site, and it was later confirmed in 134 cases. Within a few weeks of the event, 28 people died because of ARS. The Chernobyl tragedy was a one-of-a-kind occurrence, with radiation-related fatalities occurring for the first time in commercial nuclear power history. Because the reactor is one of the kind, the disaster has limited bearing on the rest of the nuclear industry outside of the former Soviet Union. However, it resulted in significant changes in safety, culture, and industry cooperation, especially between the East and the West, prior to the dissolution of the Soviet Union. The Chernobyl disaster, according to former President Gorbachev, was a more essential cause in the Soviet Union. He missed then perestroika, its liberal reform initiative.
Hello and Assalamualaikum. I am Amsyar Badrul Hisham, student ID of B0919101991. I'm going to explain about the issues of the Chernobyl nuclear accident. These are the issues, which are three things on communication, and then flaws of construction, and thirdly, the work discipline. What can be said about these three issues are, from one, the communication is the duration of delivering informations. Number one, lack of radiation prediction. This was happening from the workers on the prediction radiation department that failed to predict the radiation direction perimeter at the workplace and the surrounding. Number two, not well and late informed. Not well informed what's happening through the workplace, and late informed what's happening through the government's faults. Number three, government blames on individual operators. This was happening at that day, during that time, which is essential to be happen. They should not blame one person who is responsible for the accident. And then we move on to the flaws of construction, which is the plant system flaws. Number one, the unmaintained system, which is happening under magnetic fields that are used in the power plant reactor, are not being maintained monthly, or maybe need to be maintained daily, but they're not done through that time. Number two, plan was not planned with safety regulation, which is a big mistake of the nuclear power plant, not following the safety regulation that caused the accident to happen. And number three, underprepared construction, not completely ready. This is so obviously wrong because they know that the construction was underprepared, thus they do not need to do the operation yet, but they done it anyway. So that was why the accident was happening through that time. And then number three, the issue work discipline, the working environment. Firstly, not correcting problems, which is flaws of the plan. They know there were some flaws in the power plant of the nuclear industry of theirs, but they are not correcting it at all. And number two, the device misuse, which is used for others' work. This was happening through that time. One device that is specifically used for one job or one work, but they use it for others' assignments, which might be and be perhaps the problems that cause the accidents on the nuclear reactor that cause it to blow. So that's all for the issues from me. Thank you for listening, and we move on to the next topic.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Muhamad Azim bin Muhammad Suhaimy, and today I will continue the presentation for the discussion part. So, if you already know, the April 26 marks the anniversary of the catastrophic Chernobyl nuclear accident, the world's nuclear disaster that led to widespread radiation fallout across the Europe. So, from this accident, there are many things that can be discussed and synthesized regarding the engineering ethics, environment, organization, planning, failure mode, and management employee behavior. Firstly, as stated in the essay, the test was conducted without any further notice to the other workers. As we already know, communication between the management and employee is very important, especially working in dangerous areas or places. In this case, the night shift workers didn't exactly be briefed by their supervisor on the current testing situation along with the planned experiment and its procedure. This is definitely a very dangerous decision made by the supervisor due to relaxed safety standards in the facility. These unnotified workers will not be able to read the current working situation and make preparation in case something happens during the testing. It is definitely an unsafe working practice, and the supervisor should not have taken very lightly of these cases or on this matter, as it can involve thousands of worker life and death. It also shows that there is miscommunication between the management and the employee, as the employee did not notify the daily work status for changing work shift on the same day. Next, one of the major causes of this accident is the design flaw of the plant itself based on the essay given. The control rods that were designed to absorb neutrons and decrease activity were 1.3 meters shorter than necessary, so it can be stated that the controller is defective in this matter. This is definitely an unsafe practice conducted by the testing team. Knowing that they have a malfunctioning safety item or device, this matter must be repaired to make sure it is able to run properly before running any test or experiment. This is definitely very unethical for the engineers to run the testing without proper safety procedures, and definitely it can lead to many problems later if something happens during the testing. It also shows very bad planning by the engineer and the management itself, as they do not take any action to replace the control rod before conducting the test. Next, from the essay or from the explanation, there are many poor decisions that have been made through the series of events in this case. Firstly, they are conducting an experiment for the safety function of the plant on the working plant itself, and it is not the first time they have done it. They have done many several times, but they fail to conduct the safety device on the plant. This is definitely a serious violation of engineering ethics itself. The plan should not have been approved to run if there are no certain safety procedures to cope with any possible problems in the future. Other than that, they propose that the energy stored in the angular momentum of steam turbine could be used to sustain water pumps long enough for the backup generators to attain full power. Again, it is definitely another violation of good engineering principle, as it is not a good plan to use a device which has already been designed and built to function in a way other than the way in which it was originally designed to function. So again, both of this show that the engineers of the Chernobyl have made a very poor decision regarding the safety. And finally, the worst case scenario become worse as this accident not just involve the workers and the supervisor only, but it also tangle up all the people surrounding on the facility itself. We already know nuclear is a very high risky, especially when they are contacted with air and radiation. So firstly, the firefighter who have been dispatched to ease the fire not wearing proper personal protective equipment (PPE) due to the lack notice from the facility. As a result, the firefighter are exposed to nuclear radiation, resulting in death or serious health problem after the incident. It was definitely very unethical for the organisation to not inform the public services of the current situation of the accident so that the firefighter can make preparation to protect themselves. Not just that, the government did not immediately evacuate the people near the facility and did not release a true statement on the current situation by just stating it was just a temporary evacuation. So again, it's a very unethical for the company to not create a make statement about the issue. Other than that, the workers that have been brought to help with the cleanup and sealing of the nuclear reactor are not very well informed of possible harmful reaction to the radiation itself. And the government also want to hide the truth behind the accident for accident. This may be because the peer pressure during the World War II. The government also claimed that the accident occurred due to human error and falsely blamed the workers instead of their really made investigation to study why the plant are exploding. This case definitely showed that it was very immoral decision for the government to convey the truth to other people. The government should take immediate action to save the people and take safety measures to stop the radiation from expanding and destroying more of the environment. As we already know, radiation from nuclear is very harmful as it cannot just affect human but it can also affect any other living things such as animal and plant. So they should consider cooperating with other nations to solve the problem instead of hiding from others for personal purpose in this case, as it could destroy a large scale of environment. That's all for me. Thank you.
Hello and Assalamualaikum. My name is Akalil Ahmad bin Dzulkifli and I will continue this discussion on aftermath and improvement of this disaster. So, firstly, after the Chernobyl disaster that had taken many lives, experts or professionals about nuclear had spoke up their suggestions to increase people's awareness of nuclear reactions. According to an article by Jorgensen 2016, radiation or nuclear professionals should increase their training intensity. The training should consist of management, leadership, safety, and many more. The purpose of this training is to produce a high quality of professionals that can handle any situation, in this case, a situation that involves nuclear or radiation to avoid any accidents, lives related from happening and waste. The author also mentioned that the government should increase its investment in the nuclear reactor sector to minimize failure and accidents occurring in the future. The government should increase investments in professional training, building structure, safety assessment by experts, hiring many people, etc. Next, an engineer in mechanical and nuclear energy, Strauss, 2017, has made his suggestion regarding this problem. His suggestion is to apply the control rod with suitable material so that the system will stop the process immediately if any reaction happens or an object comes from the top of the system. This suggestion is to prevent the control rod from stop the flow inside the reactor, which can cause an explosion. If the new control rod falls into the system, it will be enough time to swell and not jam the system. After that, he also suggests using water as a moderator to slow down the reaction, and it does not burn. He stated that the water becomes less efficient as it heats up. Thus, if a reaction becomes too hot and rapid, the increasing temperature of the water helps to slow things down. It has been termed inherent stable, similar to riding a tricycle. So I will pass to the next presenter for the next part. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Ahmad Abdullah bin Muhamad, and I will explain the conclusion for this 3B assignment. In conclusion, certain ingenious ethics violations had occurred based on the Chernobyl disaster that had taken many lives and property. One of the ethical issues starts with the design failure of the nuclear reactor at Reactor 4. Reactor 4 was more prone to accidents because it was designed differently than reactors 1 and 2 and lacked the same safety features. Engineers who made a mistake in the nuclear reactor design were found to be responsible for the accident because they broke the code of ethics, especially the morality of the engineering profession, causing harm to society. Next, as the Chernobyl disaster demonstrated, nuclear power technology advancement does not make people's lives safer. The accident occurred due to some violations of the operating rules for reactor facilities. Workers did not provide adequate oversight or take all necessary security precautions. Besides that, the main ethical problem with Chernobyl is that the Soviet government kept it a secret. Engineers and the government must inform society of the Chernobyl disaster to prevent the public's lives in danger. Last but not least, the engineering ethics violation was the attempt to conduct experiment, although not at a safer time, and the facility could be shut down until the necessary safety features are in place. That's all from us. Thank you.